Blast.
Blast off! What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
We are on. I hope all of you are doing well.
Hello. As testing my volume.
Yeah, actually do talk.
Hey.
Bring it up a
Wait,
little bit.
More than that?
I know I never ask you for this, but like, yeah, I actually need a little bit more juice from you. It's not getting up to the...
Is this loud or quiet?
It's a little bit quiet, a little bit up.
Hello?
A little bit up.
Hello?
A little bit up.
Hello? Hello? That's all the way up.
That's all the way up.
Yes, I don't know. Is this changing anything? Hello?
You know, I think what it is like normally you get like excited and you start talking louder.
It's impossible.
give me something with some pizzazz.
Ah!
There you go. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. All right, we're set.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Elstragoon. How are you?
Hey.
Now you get to watch me stream. All right, cool. So, Corey, we have a fun session in front of us. I normally go into these not really looking forward to it because it usually means Mechanics Town. But here's the thing. We're kind of out of Mechanics Town for the foreseeable future. Yeah. So, first thing before we do anything else, I want to walk Elstragoon and anybody else who might pop into the stream, and also probably us from the future, through kind of the changes that we have implemented over the last week. That's not that we've made, because we talked about a lot of changes on last week's stream. They were kind of out in the air. They were kind of out in the ether. Corey and I met a couple of times over the weekend to solidify those changes and actually see what they would look like implemented into the game. So, first things first. Talking about character creation, I have streamlined this section to give players just a very, like, brief, basic overview. This is what happens when you make a player, right? And I've streamlined it down to 4 basic things. Players answer a short series of questions about species and background. You choose your province, determining role in the caravan. You choose your starting health, armor, and movement node array. And finally, purchasing attributes, skills, and items using a preset number of points. Those are the 4 steps that we have in creating a character. So with that in mind, I've also gone ahead and I've expanded out this section here, which kind of explains the first step in character creation, specifically talking about, like, this is how you're supposed to answer these questions. We also have this note in here that'll probably be copied and pasted into a couple other sections, basically talking about, like, we have answers provided for these questions. You don't have to choose them, right? If a player chooses a different answer to the questions that we ask, well, then maybe, figure out what approach or what skill, whatever you're working with, best is affected by those answers, and then, kind of go from there. Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to touch on, and this was something that I think is emergent, that we didn't intend for this to be the case, but I think it is a positive of doing it this way.
Yeah.
Is we've been met a lot with the idea of, like, you guys have been building this lore for a little while. It's wild, but nobody knows it.
Right.
So, like, expecting somebody to go in and know that shit is a lot, and it can be, overwhelming. I think that these questions, provided with some flavor text about what we're talking about, is going to be a great primer, like introductory primer to the world during character creation as well. So, like, you're going to, like, okay, what is this species? What are they about? Here's the different elements of them. Pick one. Like, I think that is a really elegant way to introduce people to, like, the world of EBA. So
Yeah,
so
totally
go
agree. And that's actually what we're going to be doing a lot of on stream once we're done kind of catching up with everything that we've already done. But Corey and I have met a couple of times over the course of the weekend, and we've actually kind of figured out what these questions are. We've also come up with some basic answers to them. A lot of today's stream is going to be kind of fleshing out some of these answers. I realized looking over it this afternoon, we left some of these a little bit more blank than we had originally intended. We met for like a 3 or 4 hour session. By the end of it, we were super burned out. So we took off and called a break at that point. So the basic idea, right? So for those who are watching, is that when you pick a species, let's say, for example, we pick the Polyutar, the first question for the Polyutar, from which Polyutar regency do you hail? And this little bit of flavor text up here, like, gives you, like, basically what, like, the regencies are. It gives you kind of the basic overview of what to expect. We'll put a little bit more flavor in these answers here, but based on whichever one of those I pick, right, let's say I pick the Baronry of the Mechanized Vault. What that means is that I get a little bonus to my clockwork approach. I now start with a +1 in my clockwork. Similarly, what separated you from that regency? Depending on what I go with, let's say, for example, I was responsible for a dangerous evolutionary path being introduced into the nobility. Again, we say what that stuff is up here. That would mean basically that I can choose either getting a die evolution in my deduction or a die evolution in memory, right? And once that's done, that's it. That's all that there is for species. From there, you go into the next section, which is your your history, your background.
We haven't done. Well, you did.
Yeah. What did you do? Is probably the way to go here. Now, this is actually stuff that I have done a little bit of my own. I was doing a lot of this afternoon while watching El Dragoon's stream. So, Corey, this is going to be kind of new stuff for you. So, the two questions that I went with here, and we can talk about these for sure. First thing is, why did your character choose vault pedaling? This one will similarly have kind of a bump to your approach based on which answer you go with. The answers I have are like for adaptation, I didn't have a whole lot of options. The universe kind of chose this for me, and I had to adapt to it. Clockwork, it was the most profitable, logical decision for me. Ferocity, it gave me the opportunity for adventure and danger. Holistics was someone I cared about, joined, and I followed. Obfuscation it was a means to hide myself from people I didn't want to see or be seen from. And the idea is that these questions would apply to every background, because the answers are going to vary depending on what background you decide to go with.
Sure, and we can flavor out the questions or answers based on the background question.
Yeah.
I thought we were going with item and nodes for the backgrounds.
So was the idea that it affects health and armor nodes, or was it that it affects approaches? That's what I was asking you this afternoon.
Yeah, I thought I answered at work, which I shouldn't have
shit!
been doing.
I'm sorry.
It's
I just might have missed your answer. What was your idea?
Maybe I don't know. Because I thought we were thinking that like approaches and skills were going to be from species. And then...
Oh, you did say a node bump. I'm an idiot. Okay, sorry about that.
You're not an idiot. That's very rude. Please don't say that to my friend.
Okay, no, so that's totally fine. I think actually that solves some problems, because I was worried that we were giving too much for the approaches anyways. Okay. So... what we can do then is we can tailor 3 answers, right, depending on movement, armor, or health. And then have kind of make them super general, very open, and then you get a bonus to whichever one of those you pick.
I mean, we could make them super general for the playtest, but I think that, like, going into this shit, we should probably make them specific.
Okay.
Because, like, it's that little detail work that I think is going to sell the idea of, like, these questions and, like, selling the concept of what a vault, like a tech oracle is, you know?
Yeah.
I agree that like for the time being, let's just like plug them in and let them sit. But I think for like if we're gonna go down this route, like this like narrative build route, I think we should like spend the time on them.
Okay. I like the idea of going specific with the answers. My issue is my issue is just that if we get really specific answers and there's only 3 options, I'm worried that that's going to rope players in too much. But I mean, same thing as the first section questions apply, right? If they have answers that don't fit the ones we give, just pick the one that you think works best and then go with it.
I think that works.
Yeah.
But either way, like it seems like we're broadly on the same page here.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I am going to put a little note in here. We're going to go back and fix this. This should be a node bump.
And then for provinces, we have the trait tree.
Yeah, and then actually, the last thing I did want to talk about is before we move into provinces, we have the item itself.
Oh.
And this is something that I wanted to do with you today. This will be probably a little bit of mechanical thing. I do want to leave them with some kind of instructions for how to how to
build a relic.
Yeah, how to build a relic. What qualities do you need to include? Like, what are the attributes that like these things require? I also would love it if we could go through and like for each general background, provide a couple of item suggestions, which is what I've put here. Like I have a better listing for like the prophet. Like I have like scrying bones, ceremonial tea, incense. These are like examples of things that like they could possibly use for the item. But again,
so I mean, the first thing we should like focus on here is like the idea of like relic items, like not your regular like caravan resource items.
Yeah.
Is that like this is where we're moving feats to, right? Like this was the idea, is to have like wackier items that do wackier shit. And I think that we should like largely keep that idea. I know we had like drafted up a couple of like item statistics that would seem important to drop in.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and we should probably talk about like power scaling relics based on like
also a big
star
concern
rating stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, and we have the star rating for caravans. It would seem a shame to just keep it there and not apply it broadly across other places. Like, star rating for relics, I think, makes a lot of sense. Like,
yeah, no, totally agree. Okay, cool. And then the next step. What's up?
What else Dragoon just said?
Dividing before you play. Ooh, that is neat.
The idea of like emergent play is huge there. That like I had a concept and this is what came out of that after the first sentence.
I spent 5 minutes trying to do this character that I'd been thinking of and came out with something totally different. So here's how that's affecting my build.
Yeah, I like that.
No, that's very neat. Okay, and then section 2, we're at choosing provinces. So the big thing that we had been working with prior to last week that we decided to kind of throw away were the province feats, which I still think, I mean, Corey and I have talked about this. Once these trees are fully fleshed out, I think we're still going to have feats in them, but they're kind of like things that you need to unlock at different levels. Right now, what we're
finishing a tree.
Exactly. For right now, what we're talking about are general trees. And so the idea here is that each of these would represent like a box on a diagram. I still need to flesh out these diagrams. So right now we're working with bullet points. But the idea is basically that you would start out on character creation, picking your province, and that is going to put one node right into your initial skill. In the instance of the Croaker, that's like our field medic character. We've decided that the first skill that any good field medic would have is the ability to diagnose. So the idea is that when you're rolling to diagnose somebody's illness or condition or problem, whatever it is, whatever their injury is, you would get a +1 to that on top of whatever you would normally roll. And the idea to these trees is that as you build out these layers, we're trying to focus on kind of a lateral growth system. We're going to be focusing on more and more specific instances, the more layers that you get down, to the point where, like, you know, you have like a skill in radiology, right? If you're doing something that has to do with like x-rays or radiographs, then that would be like a +1 in that medical skill in that specific instance.
Well, and even I think in the more specific cases, probably the ability to do those things at all, right? Like,
Right.
I have a medicine skill, but that doesn't necessarily, like, I can't use my paramedic skill to turn on a fucking radiology machine.
Right. I'm a nurse, not a heart surgeon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was the issue we were having when we were first making these. We're like, well, wouldn't you, like, my medicine skill's higher?
Yeah.
But we were also thinking of capping things and like
that. That's also true. The thing I'm most excited about this is I really think that this is going to do a great job of kind of defeating what my ongoing fear about this game has been, which is power creep. Right? Even when I have my diagnosis skill, for example, fully fleshed out, it's still just it's a +5 to the roll. Right?
Yeah.
Even with that skill totally fleshed out, as good as I can get it, it's still entirely possible for me to beef that roll. And that to me is exciting. I think that is the kind of energy that I want when I think of Vault Peddlers. So yeah, we're keeping all of the feats in the document for now. We have not added them to the tree as yet, and when we're doing play testing, we're really going to focus on just the first 2 levels. So people will start with an initial skill in like that diagnosis, and then they'll get the ability after spending a couple of points to move into like field medicine or surgery. We think that that'll give us kind of a good initial impression of whether or not this is something we should stick to, or whether or not it's something that needs to be reworked after the playtest.
Do you want to talk about some fallen soldiers?
What do you mean?
Probably talk about some friends that didn't make the way.
What's going on?
We lost some good soldiers in this battle, reworking provinces.
Oh my god, Corey, I thought you were gonna tell me on stream that like one of our friends died. What the fuck?
No, what?
Jesus.
I'm not a monster.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, sorry guys. Yeah, a couple. I don't know. Like your tone was weird. It did. I normally pick these things up.
Crazy energy to bring to the table.
I didn't bring that energy.
But neither did I.
Fuck. Okay. Sorry, we need to regroup for a second. Jesus Christ. Whew. Okay. I'm not picking stuff. I'm not picking stuff up as well as I normally do.
I wouldn't do that.
I know you wouldn't. That's why it was so fucking wild when I thought you were doing it. Oh my god. Okay, so we when looking at provinces and when looking specifically at skill trees, one of the things that we found was that a lot of these, or that 2 of them specifically, did not make a ton of sense. The biggest one for us was Shepherd. And this one sucks because this was kind of like our... I'm keeping our baby. Jesus. So the Shepherd is kind of... we had initially envisioned this as kind of like our on-site quartermaster. Like when you're off on an away mission, this is the guy who's in charge of the away team. What we pretty quickly came to realize is that most of the responsibilities of the Shepherd could either go to, I think it was the Spoiler, or it could go to the Rope Walker, or it could go to the Reckoner, or it could go to the Pharaoh. So we're not deleting the Shepherd as of yet. It's still here. We've graded out. It's not going to be available for the playtest. So Elstragoon, sorry if you were planning on playing a Shepherd. Also, sorry if you were planning on playing a Weaver. Hang on one second. There we go. That's a heading 3. Gonna bring that back to a heading 3. Okay, cool. Also, sorry if you were planning on playing a Weaver. We are having the worst fucking time trying to figure out magic in this game. I know that I still really want to have it. We both know that this is explicitly a magical world, but we are grappling a lot with trying to make magic in this game fluid, something that doesn't feel like a whole separate game, but also that makes the Weaver feel like a unique enough class. The other thing that we ran into is that the occupation of the Weaver narratively does not necessarily fit, right? The Pharaoh is like the guy in charge. He does the negotiations. The Spoiler is like your researcher. The Reckoner is like your fighter. All of these guys have specific jobs. The Weaver is just like your magic guy, which kind of, yeah, Weaver would be kind of like your sorcerer character. It's like your kind of all-purpose spellcaster type of thing.
The big issue with the Weaver and like why it has been like the redheaded stepchild here for a long time is that like it is a world that explicitly like has like at least low level. I mean, like it's low level magic everywhere. Same with tech, right? Like it's low level tech everywhere. Everywhere is elements like so. Like arguably, if items and everything's like infused with this shit, like Spoiler could do that shit. Croaker could do that shit. Like it doesn't make sense as its own class. And then it also gets into like the trait system where it's like everything else is opening up feats at the end of trees. This would be like opening up traits at the beginning of trees, but then instead of adding bonuses to like things you would normally try to do, it's like you can only do these things like with this. It ends up feeling kind of clunky and weird. And like it is the same thing I had with like moving feats though. Like I'm also comfortable with like having magic in the foray of like items and like capstone feats, right? Like that feels magical to me, and it feels like our kind of world. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, the other option, if we want to go really low fantasy with it, is that this is a magical world in which there are no magical people, right? Which is narratively perfectly justifiable, right? Just because there is magic in the world doesn't mean you need to have wizards. I think
playable wizards.
Yeah, I think that I'm definitely not ready to say goodbye to the Weaver entirely. But it definitely has been an ongoing problem. It's the reason why we initially axed the Weaver in the first place. Then we axed Magum as a skill. Then we axed Nebulae as an approach. Then we brought back Weaver, and now we're going back and forth with it. So I think that it's something that I still want to explore. It's something that I want to see realized in Vault Peddlers 1E as of right now. That could absolutely change. But for the purposes of our coming playtest, we can't... I mean, we've been saying this now for like a month. Like, we can't keep waiting around, waiting for the right idea to find us. So for the purpose of the playtest, Weaver is out. On the note, actually, of moving Shepherd stuff over, we took another look at the Pharaoh also. And one of the things that Corey and I really agreed on when looking at the Pharaoh is that leadership is definitely, in real life, it's like a very valuable skill, like being able to like rally the troops and all that stuff. When it comes to trying to gamify that, when it comes to trying to like mechanize that and make it like an actionable skill, leadership is a pretty abstract concept. So one of the things that we did is tried to look at like what are the more actionable elements of like what the Pharaoh is as a leader. And so we have taken a lot of the skill set that we had initially looked at for the spoiler. We had kind of combined them into our, dealer and researcher. The spoiler is now just your general all-purpose researcher. Your Pharaoh, as far as actionable skills go, has to do with negotiation, right?
Yeah.
Your Pharaoh is your new face class for the purposes of this game mechanically. So that's been another change in the provinces as well. Corey, is there anything that I didn't catch here?
No.
Okay.
That didn't sound confident of me, though.
That's fine. Either way. Okay, so then what we're going to be talking about here, Section 3, choosing your node array. We were struggling for quite a while trying to figure out how to do this. The initial idea we had been working off of was derived statistics, using, adding like your different approaches to create your armor, health, and movement. What we're doing now is we're trying to just remove derived statistics from the equation entirely and letting people build their character how they want. And you're just going to start with 3 statistics and 3 numbers. You get a 3, a 5, and a 7. You can put those numbers in armor, health, or movement in whatever combination you prefer, right? So you can have like a really high movement, low health character. You can have like a really high armor, low movement character, however you see fit. And obviously, in terms of the Section 1B, like background stuff, like where you're getting a node bump, that would also apply here as well. Not much more to talk about there. But no stat can exceed 7 nodes on character creation. That last bit is important.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if we're gonna be like, we should definitely like talk about that once we see it play with 7.
I agree.
And I think we should consider, like, if you take a node bump from your background that goes over 7, I don't think that should, like, I think you should be able to do that.
All right. I mean, either way, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Section 4, this section kind of already existed, so there's not a lot more to go in here. We have included sections and prices for province and trait notes and stat array nodes as well. So you can also buy those things with the points that you've been given. So that's just another level of kind of customization that you can get. Advancement has also stayed largely the same. Let me see here. So these are all our approaches, skills. What's up?
I wonder if instead of doing you can't exceed 7, we just limit how many stat array nodes you can buy. That might be a more elegant solution. I don't know. That way, because otherwise I'm going to be like, well, maybe I'll just stack my nodes for my character, and then I won't be very useful. I'll be alive, which isn't good for party like dynamics, which this game is about. Something we should think about. Let's see how it plays.
Yeah, no, I'd say let's see how this version plays, and we'll see how that goes.
Can we pop a note there, though?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm just gonna say, consider capping number of nodes purchasable on character creation. Okay. Oh, and then
Let me
post
quick
playtest.
time to say that I fucking hate pollen. And my life is hell, and I wish everyone was dead with me, because I feel like I'm already there.
Yeah.
And it's unfair.
Yeah. I feel incredibly guilty wishing death upon the earth when it's already dying, but like, holy shit, yeah. This week has been rough. It's been not great for me. I've been having like allergy outbreaks every single day. It's been a constant battle of like, I don't want to wear glasses because it makes my face sweaty, but I also don't want to wear contacts because then I want to claw my eyes out. It's been rough. Fuck pollen.
I feel like I have just every part of me's dying. That's fine.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is fuck trees.
Fuck trees, fuck nature. Okay, cool. So that's kind of the recap of what we have done so far. Now we get to get into kind of the fun bits. So what we need to do, we need to figure out the narrative and lore answers to, like, for example, what is the Lazarus dependency? What makes it a unique background to choose? We have to do that for a couple of things in Specie. We have to re-examine the background and history questions to make them fitting for a node bump rather than an approach bump. Sure. And then after that, I think we really just need to get some items created for caravan nodes. So those are the big three we're looking at.
Oh yeah. Did we talk about the caravan store? Because it's my favorite thing in the world now.
So we actually, on our last stream, we actually did go into it a little bit, but just for where are we? There we go. But just for people's edification, the Caravan Resources was another thing that we've been struggling with a ton that I think we've actually found a really elegant solution for. And this is now, you're still generating Caravan Resources. You're still generating those additional die that'll sit at the center of the table. But we've now found a better in-lore justification for those dice and what they represent. So the example is, or the basic idea is that your Caravan Resources correlate to items that you have purchased from the Caravan General Store. These are basically items that your caravan has prepared and created for you as you make them. The cool thing about that is that you don't actually do the shopping process when we... you don't do the shopping process prior to going out on a mission. You actually determine that in the moment while you're actually making the roll.
Very Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool. I just think it's a really clever way to get over, like, D4, like D4's critting more, and like I think it's very in fiction. I like the idea that, like, you don't have to worry about buying, like, these dungeon delving or, like, regular fucking smoke bomb kind of items. You just gotta fucking you pick those up at the company store, baby.
Right.
That's how we do our job. You use your per diem.
Right. So Corey and I made one item on this list already. It's like 30 feet of rope. The basic idea is that, let's say I'm facing some kind of a challenge for which I think a rope might be useful, right? I don't know. I'm trying to scale a small cliff face that would be difficult on my own, but having rope would help. If I am looking at my pile of caravan dice and I have a D4 available for use, then I can choose to take that D4 and that now becomes my rope, which I can then add to the total of my roll for if I'm trying to climb on something. And what that basically does, right, is it bolsters the roll. Like Corey said, it kind of accommodates for lower items, common items like a rope being more susceptible to critting, making them still powerful despite being pretty small in general use. And then that would basically be it. From that, say what?
But also, if it crits, who gives a shit? Yeah, you critted on a rope. Great.
Yeah.
Now we can...
Who fucking cares, right?
Yeah.
But so that is our new system for Caravan Resources. I'm still really excited about it. Just because, like, I don't know, normally I'll come back to something after a couple of weeks and I'll see a ton of problems with it. I'm sure playtesting will expose problems there, because it's playtesting, but I feel good about it going into it.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's the wrap up then. what do you want to do then? Do you want to go through questions? Do you want to make items?
Look like a lunatic today.
You look
Wait,
beautiful.
Question. Fucking losing it, dude. What happened?
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
Cool. I don't know if I have the wherewithal to do items. Can we do that this weekend?
Yeah, we can absolutely
Okay.
do items this weekend.
Yeah. Items and combat actions we need to do this weekend. Too.
I did see your message on the Discord. Yeah, no, we definitely do need to make that as well.
But also, I want to talk about some of the choices we made about our species.
Oh God, yeah. Actually, yeah. Let's talk about the species questions because we made some wild choices that have really colored what EBA is going to look like, especially depending on where you are.
Fucking, if you're an Ember Fight, because my god, the evolution of Ember Fight is maybe my favorite thing right now.
Yeah, Ember Fights are fucking wild. Do you want to start there?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. So,
Fights.
all of our species sections have kind of I've beefed up these little flavor texts as per our meeting on the weekend because we came up with some crazy shit. Corey, tell us a little bit about the Ember Fights. Tell us about the things we decided.
So our Ember Fights are, if you recall, they're kind of like our plant folk, right? It is like your Kukri village savior, your Ents, your Groots. The idea is that they're like, actually, I think our original idea was they're like corn husk men, but
the idea is that they are like biology, like ecology come alive. They are like tree barbarians. They formed very rustic rural societies and they stick to like their territories, whatever those territories may be. Maybe they rove, but they stick to like that simple set of things. The decision we did make about Ember Fights, which I think is very fun, is that Ember Fights just keep growing. And eventually, they go fucking insane from overgrowth. And they like grow into monsters, basically. And how each clan deals with it is like the definitive nature of that clan. So these are barbarian tribes that their elderly become like these monsters that they ride and eventually these untamable beasts.
So just imagine riding your great-great-grandpa as he gives you a piggyback while he's
Shit.
What?
I just got a good Splatbooker campaign idea, like secret tribes of Ember Fights that like keep you growing for a very long time, or like someone who's learned to tame one that's like ancient.
Well, we actually have for obfuscation we have the Glade folk. Their whole thing is actually that for whatever reason they don't succumb to overgrowth.
No, my idea was that they still succumb to it. They just trained a fucking wild one.
Wait, what?
Just like they keep growing, but one guy can tame just the biggest, most ancient monsters.
Oh, they can tame them. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about them because I fucking love it. No, not for Glade Folk. I'm sorry, that was I was just spitballing.
Oh, that was your Splatbook idea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
El Dragoon poses a really good question. How many years does Overgrowth take?
Yeah. So
that's a great question because we didn't answer that.
No, because we don't have a calendar, but we need one. So let's say we are. So how many generations removed are we from the post-apocalypse? I would say probably like 5 generations removed from the post-apocalypse.
Closer to 5, I think.
Yeah, and then like even like beyond like, and that probably like getting to the post-apocalypse, like some sort of settled thing, took even longer. So like let's say Let's go longer than 5 generations. If we're calling like a standard generation, like a human generation. Because I like the idea of like succumbing to overgrowth, taking, and this is the issue with elves in D&D, right? Like,
Right.
When you put too long of a time on thing, it's like, oh, this ancient thing that nobody remembers, except for Steve, who is 800 years old.
Right. Except for this other ancient race that also, yeah. Well, and the other thing with it too is like, we have to decide this because if we're talking about 5 human generations and Ember Fights do end up living longer, then that means that like the disaster and post-collapse was just like yesterday for them.
Yeah, so let's make the post-apocalypse much longer ago.
Okay, are we thinking like 500 years then?
Something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Say, yeah. So Overgrowth, when we're talking about Ember Fights, are we thinking like quick growing vines, or are we thinking like long grown trees?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking of Groot this whole time. It's like Groot, it's Treebeard,
Groot.
It's Groot, mainly Groot, mostly Groot.
Okay.
Little like sprinkle some Treebeard in there.
So, like the design that I threw out was much more viney.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a fun way to do it. I like the idea of them becoming these tangled vine messes. It also gives us a shorter lifespan on them.
Yeah.
Before Overgrowth takes over.
I am going to say, I do think a shorter lifespan is more interesting for them. Because it makes Overgrowth a more pressing problem.
Sure. Like,
Bruh, it's just Groot.
It's just Groot.
Bruh, it's just Groot.
So let's say that Overgrowth initially took a much longer time, like 100 years, but now it takes like 40 or 50.
Okay.
Each successive generation, it's taking a shorter time.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. We had something similar with our tunnelers, actually, that we're going to get to, where like something happens regularly and it's been taking longer.
Oh, we can have.
I wonder if there's going to be overlap there.
Correlation? Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, so hang on one second here. So each generation takes longer to reach Overgrowth, but modern generations usually succumb in approximately
40
to 50 years. It's actually takes shorter.
So, we came up with a couple different clans, and the different clans control like how they deal with overgrowth. So, and this is going to be a good opportunity for us to put in flavor text about each clan, so you get a little flavor about like what the clans are.
Fuck. Hey, Elstragoon, can you stop giving me fucking nightmares?
Oh, that's cool.
That's the tightest shit ever.
That's an adventure module right there.
Yeah, that's incredible. Jesus Christ.
So, the first one we had was the adaptation one, which is the central route.
Yeah.
The idea is that they bring their elderly together and, like, just, they coalesce them into this, like, unbreakable chain of vines. So, like, they deal with the problem by locking the problem in place. Which I really like, because, like, you know, the potentiality of, like, it is a vine of memory now. It's probably also fairly violent and dangerous to be near, like, but it has a lot of knowledge embedded into its roots.
Respected, cared for.
I don't remember what we did for Breakers of the Canopy. We just come up with a name for that?
Yeah, see, that was the thing for a lot of these, is I think, like,
Yeah.
we came up with a name and we were like, we're gonna get to it later. We're on a
That's
naming
fair.
streak right now, so we're just gonna move.
Yeah, we were on a naming streak.
Yeah.
But it is a dope name. Breakers of the Canopy is cool.
Yeah.
One that we did come up with was Riders of the Breach.
Oh.
Riders of the Breach are very much like they are your, what's that thing from Game of Thrones? The horse tribe guys.
Oh,
The Plains
Dothraki?
Riders. Yeah, the Dothraki. Like, they are riding, but instead of horses, it is their grandpa.
So fucked up.
Yeah, cool, man. Like, on this violent tide of beasts that, like, are overtaking the land. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We have... Okay, yeah, so I guess, some of these we gotta flesh out more.
Yeah. Yeah, Breakers of the Canopy and the Northwood Pact need to be expounded on a little.
But let's talk about a different species right now, right? Or do you want to expand on these?
So I'd like to finish these out kind of as we approach them.
Cool.
So like for me, like Breakers of the Canopy, that would imply to me that they do something with sunlight to deal with their elderly problem.
Hold on.
Okay.
On the topic of what Elstragoon just said in chat, I have something for the Northwood Pact.
Go for it. Go.
They re-splice them, like the elderly. They splice their branches with the young so that they don't succumb to overgrowth. They keep splitting themselves into their young. So yeah.
Oh my god. Of the elderly into the young, preventing overgrowth. Okay, so lots of questions here. So, like, how does that affect the young's personality? Like, are they able to, like, communicate telepathically with the people they have branches of? Like,
I think you like, and I don't think it's like just branches, right? You form your whole self into the young and split yourself in pieces. I think it homogenizes like a lot of thought, right? Like a lot of your memories are like quite literally implanted memories. I've seen this arm before, kind of shit. Maybe it resurfaces sometimes in violent ways, so it's not like a perfect science.
yeah.
And then we get back to Wacky Wizards territory. If you're the young.
Never forget. Okay, and then Breakers of the Canopy. So, my thought was this. Trees need two things to live and grow, right? They need blood.
And light.
Yeah, they need blood and they need light. So my thought was that the Breakers of the Canopy realized that overgrowth is only a temporary stage before death. And so what they do is they accelerate the process by exposing them to a great deal of light and exposing them to a great deal of water once they succumb to the overgrowth. To give them like a quick and noble death is the idea.
Like forming them into these like husked cocoons that just like flower very quickly and like release seedlings.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to like march your ass up to the canopy and like knowing that like the sunlight at these they've grown these massive trees out of their elderly. That's how they first did it. Like their elders resigned themselves to this face and like locked each other together into these gigantic towers, just these huge towers of bodies, and up top close to the sun, Eva's sunlight just accelerates that growth going through star shatter, and like you just flower and fucking
all of these tribes are fucking metal as hell.
Hell yeah, they are. See, now my art makes sense.
Yeah, right? Using sun and water to give the overgrown Ember Fight. A quick, noble death.
Man, marching your ass up there must be like a fucking scene.
Oh, it's got to be awful. Fucking tragic. Okay. So that's what we decided about Ember Fights. Our cool little tree. I am Groot. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, Groot is fairly metal, actually.
Groot's fairly metal. Okay, so let's do the Polyutar. So we put a little bit of flavor text in Polyutar as well. What we had initially said was that the Polyutar are kind of these like proud trash people that have created these little principalities. I actually think that having a longer timeline, now that we've established that, kind of fits this.
Yeah.
I think that actually makes a ton of sense. The other thing, and this is just a side note, Corey, that we're going to have to grapple with at some point, but not now. Eba clearly has more than 3 cities.
Oh, yeah.
Like way more.
This is the Pathfinder thing, right? Like, we're picking one section of the map, we're picking one section of Galorian, and we are focusing in there. We're picking this one continent, and we're focusing on what's going on land. Down below is a whole different story, baby.
No, fair enough. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So what we did decide, building out the Polyutar, these regencies are in constant warfare. They are a proud people, therefore, what do proud people do? But, you know, murder.
No, it's not murder, Taylor, because they're sending other people's sons to do it.
Yeah, no, it's only the poor. It's only the poor trash people's sons who die. But so the war is not always blazing hot. A lot of the times it is what we would recognize as a Cold War. And as a result, R&D has become a very big priority for the Polyutar just in general. Constantly experimenting with new synthesis of trash and star shatter energy to create the next generation of Polyutar. This is actually kind of a unique thing that we found out, or that we decided on, is that the Polyutar, for whatever reason, don't necessarily reproduce the normal way. It seems at this point like it's very much by design. And that has led to kind of some staggering implications about what that looks like. So creating the next generation of Polyutar, the successes are welcomed into the high courts, basically made into the new baronry and nobility of these different principalities. And the failures are either sent into the military for mandatory subscription, or they are just sent out into the general population to just kind of, you know, fuck off and, I don't know, build something for us, I guess.
Or just released to the outskirts of their cities to fuck their enemies up because they're wildly grown out of control.
Right. So yeah, Polyutar, really enjoyed them before this weekend. Not fans anymore. It's pretty fucked up. That being said, we've come up with...
Already.
Say what?
I come up with one already.
Go for it.
So it's how they deal, and like we're talking like a very evolutionary based thing, very experimental, and how they're like dealing with their war. So I think the Lazarus dependency is they've overcome like natural death. They've found a form of biological immortality where they have like this Lazarus polyp, which like they commit themselves to. So biological immortality, you revert to a immature state. That's how like biological immortality works.
Okay.
So you revert to a polyp state. I think like they take their great warriors, their great scientists, and they like convert to this polyp state and throw into this like big breeding vat, and then pull them out later, not as themselves, but as new Polyutar, born anew into a new era. And that's like their big thing.
Damn, okay, 1 second here.
They always have the greatest warriors in different forms.
Remade into... All right, I love that. It definitely fits the name. All right, and then let's see, we've got Baronry of the Mechanized Vault, so it's some kind of a mechanical builder. Protectorate of the Golden Helix, War Tribe housing a powerful and feared old world relic. Holistics, we have the Halcyon Dynasty, which we don't have anything of. And then for obfuscation, I'm very excited about. We have the Isolate of Tau, which if you've been following our, like the one lore session we do like every, 3 months or whatever, Tau is the epicenter of the Quick Reef epidemic that caused the destruction of the old world in the first place. This is basically a hidden regency at the heart of that growth. So very excited that that's making its way into the modern playset. Okay, so really what we need here, I think what we have for the Protectorate of the Golden Helix is enough unless we want to expand it out further. What we really need is the Baronry of the Mechanized Vault and the Halcyon Dynasty.
Baronry of the Mechanized Vault is like it's inventors, right? It's people who are taking this trash and like merging it. You are like a bionicle man that they are like making and tuning and like turning like these fine machines into like very elaborately like imbued part of you garbage factory, but it is like making themselves into automatons, right?
Okay, I like that. So for them, like the answer is basically like they're combining Biologica with Creatronics to kind of further their own lifespan beyond anything else.
Yeah, like increasing their ability to like merge with things. I think that's what it is. It's that obsession with like we can already merge with things. What happens if we push that? What happens if we turn ourselves into a fucking factory?
Yeah.
Like
Tight. Love that.
Halcyon Dynasty is just a cool name.
Yeah, it's just a cool name. Love it.
Nothing wrong with this one. Protector of the Golden Helix, I would like to touch on a little bit here because we just have a warlike tribe housing a powerful, feared old world relic.
Yeah, it's very general.
Yeah, could we expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so the initial idea that we had is that the Golden Helix was like this old world pre-collapse security network consisting of like satellites that linked all of the old world kingdoms together. And one of the pivotal moments in the fall of that old society was that the Golden Helix fell out of the sky, and it fell somewhere into the ocean. Originally, we had said that it was never recovered, but now we have... It is a cool name, isn't it? It's a great name. It's a cool name.
Hey, how about this?
Yeah.
We already said that they are people who take in refuse, right? Instead of like protecting this fragment of the Golden Helix, they are all imbued with it. So like the idea of them being ferocity is that like they are all tactically minded. They are like syncopated with this like security system that used to exist. So when they go to war with people, they have like these bright blasts of brilliant moments, and they're like colored from it too, right? Like they have like golden streaks forming through them.
I love that. Okay, yeah. Distinct due to golden coloration.
That it's ferocity in that like warrior monk kind of way.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that that's a lot more interesting than just a general warlike tribe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then for Halcyon Dynasty, it definitely seems like one of the big distinguishing things of all of these other kingdoms is that they're all very separatist, right?
Yeah.
All of these principalities are incredibly isolated. They're all very stuck in their own ways. I think that maybe the Halcyon dynasty is kind of the entryway, the middleman between these Palutar regencies and the rest of the world, right? This is like the one kingdom that has actually kind of integrated. It's kind of like cool with the rest of the world. It's kind of interested in working with the rest of the folks.
It is those island, like that section of island off of Japan that the Dutch could trade with. Like
yeah.
I like that their way of deal. It is political intrigue where everyone else falls to war. They are. And they look outside of the seas in order to get an upper hand.
Okay. Seek to make.
Oh, maybe their city is like crests outside of the water too. Like it is like this spire of coral that crests outside of the water, and so like they're quite literally brought into the rest of the world where everyone else is underneath.
I like that a lot. Interact with the non-Palutar population. Sick. Love that. I also love the addition of like focusing on political intrigue, because that definitely plays into like that Cold War aspect. Like the Halcyon dynasty is clearly like they're the most open to the rest of the world, but they're also kind of one of the reasons why the world is the way that it is because they're constantly scheming and starting shit.
Love it.
I think that that's very tight. Okay, tunnelers, we have fucking nothing distinguishing these things.
Just cool names.
Yeah, we did some very cool name work. We didn't put anything on these that actually like talk about what they would do or what their goals are.
So let's talk about tunnelers a little bit.
Yeah.
So the initial idea was that like there was a one central like consciousness for the hive mind that all the tunnelers are sort of a part of. Hey, do you have a picture of the tunneler to throw up? I love him so much.
Let me see if I do. Hang on.
I just want to see my beautiful boy.
Give me just a sec.
But we had come up with the acronym domain, and then we realized that domain fit perfectly across each of the different approaches, because the actual thing that domain meant was dominion, oversight, mainframe,
ascendant in nature.
Yeah. Although that's domain. I realize
No.
now.
Ascendant in nature.
Oh, ascendant in nature. Nice.
Don't test me.
Which all fit very nicely. We have sort of modified the idea where like they are all from this central pool hive, but all of the separate hives function as like their own partition of the central intelligence and like move around and do things and don't link up. But when they do link up, they share information, and like the whole society restructures and reforms based off of what the other ones learned. But the idea here is that they are doing that less and less and less, and so there's like more personality issues are coming up. They are quite literally Star Wars with astromech droids that don't get their memory wiped. They become R2D2, just like rowdy motherfuckers.
So I mean, it's another cool little bit of flavor text that we've added to the tunnelers. I think this is maybe one of the bigger challenges when we get to these questions, because there's definitely a lot of different approaches we can take to this.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, I'll give an example for an obvious one. Ferocity, Dominion.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like if that's a tunneler, I mean, the information that they're focused on is going to be information about Dominion, right? It's about dominating. Well, like, are we talking? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go on.
I'm getting very Ultron vibes from these guys, and
Sure.
I don't know if we want to commit to that or if we want to.
I actually, that's 100% where I was going with it. I think, like, before we had the tunnelers as people who were, like, working underground and, like, mining resources and building a society down here. But, like, I think with Dominion, it is not enough to take the resources down below. Dominion is about moving outward and expanding what it thinks is the prime intelligence itself across the land. So I think Dominion is moving outward.
Yeah. What I'm gonna put on here, thankfully, Dominion is the weakest mainframe of the 5. For now. Right. Just to give it kind of a possible plot hook, possible story arc there.
How about this? Thankfully, they seem to be.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
That little change in verbiage, it makes all the difference.
It really does, though.
It
right?
totally
Like,
does.
So nature, I think that's fun. Like this consciousness, this personality is about integrating itself. Like it is about changing out its metal, right? It is about like coating itself with different and putting things into itself that are outside of it. It is taking in like crystals and quartz and combining it to its body, taking in the actual functional world of Eba and becoming it.
Okay, so this is an AI that's intent on becoming a biological creature?
Yeah, like fucking because it wants to communicate with the biological creatures that it has encountered, right? Like,
well, that would make sense because that's the only kind of information that the mainframe wouldn't have, right? By definition, they don't have information on biological material. So like trying to change it into something else to communicate with biological material would definitely make sense.
I think enough to get it going, right? Like, because everything in Eba is like a little bit of everything. I think they got enough biology in them to like get it going, and now they're like consuming and taking it in, and like, yeah, they're taking on like they will like do not impressions, but take on like the habits of biological creatures that they see. So they'll like get stuck in routines of doing like these nameless, mindless tasks that everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like jamming like a rock into its face. Yum, 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 yum. Animatronics gone awry.
Let me see here. Okay. These things have the motivation for probing people. Oh my god, do these things pretend to be aliens? And they like abduct people?
Well, world that was colonized by aliens. It's like, I'm an alien. So is Steve! My grandpa was an alien. Leave me alone.
It's like not even a big deal here.
My grandfather came over on the sandwich.
God, so good. All right, so I'm thinking for oversight. This is definitely a mainframe that is focused on gathering as much information, which can later be used for leverage, as possible.
So, I like the idea that they're using it for leverage and, like, selling it. I like the idea that, like...
It's a CIA bot.
Well, I like the idea that obfuscation, like, has created, like, spy networks across Eba and is utilizing them to like get involved in politics and stuff, like is selling information to people, making like broad, wide moves in the political sphere, but like very under the radar.
Tight. I love that shit. Okay, we got two more. Ascendant and Mainframe.
Okay. I think, oh man, Ascendant could be so fun. It is, Ascendant is like, it is become obsessed with the idea of deity, or the idea of a deity that like does, because deities exist in the world, it is one that like doesn't exist. No one knows what it's talking about, and is like constantly reaching outward into the sky or central into the planet. I'm not sure which one, either work. And like trying to call something. It is trying to attract something to it that is mysterious or outside. I think it's got a lot of flavor plot kind of stuff to it, and why it might disconnect its servants to go, or disconnect itself to go outward is like, you know.
Love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is an AI that either seeks to become a deity, or to summon one, and it seeks information towards those ends.
And no one's heard of what the fuck it's talking about. Like, no one can understand what it's talking about. Like,
love that. Okay. All right. And then Mainframe. This one actually is weirdly the hardest for me.
I think I think Mainframe is the initial intent. It is to take that central. Maybe it's to bring all the others together again, which would be very fun. But it's to create like a central tunneler like domicile. It is to have its intelligence across its hive connected and have everything at peace.
I like that. Okay.
Fire Upon the Deep sounds like a... Who is that?
Fire Upon the Deep.
That sounds really familiar.
Can't say I've heard of it.
You know me and my sci-fi. This out. Holy yo, this looks right up my alley. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a cool book, I recommend Children of Time. Taylor won't read it.
It's on spiders. It's about spiders. I won't read it. When the Joros leave the South, I will read your dumb Spider Time book.
They're coming up here. It's fine.
Okay, have fun.
Yeah.
They're gross.
I was just reading an article where people are like, yeah, we're pretty sure they could survive New England. Like, cool.
Of course they fucking can. No, dude, those things are indestructible. And they get...
look cool as hell.
They get fucking big, dog.
Yeah, like 4 inches, right? They're big boys.
Yeah, no, it gets like as big as your hand. Like, yeah. I remember there was one up on like one of the like tree lines. Well, not one. There were like 12 of them because they breed in little hives and like they live in very close proximity to each other. But like I got some wasp spray and like I just coated like their whole web and shit. And that guy was like running around for like 5 minutes, but he was so big that I could see the droplets of poison like coming off of him. He was
that makes me sad.
Huge. I don't give a shit. I
like him.
I don't want you to be sad. You're my friend. That spider is not. He can eat a bag of dicks. I hate him.
What if I pull Kafka and I turn into a big spider?
I would straight up set you on fire. Like, not a second's question.
Shame.
No, it's not.
I mean, for me, I just don't want to die.
If you're a spider, you're already dead, dog. It's no. Did you ever watch?
This book.
Did you ever watch The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy on Cartoon Network?
I seen it.
Yeah, you know the little subplot where Billy like has like a giant spider friend that like thinks that Billy is his dad or whatever, and like the spider desperately tries to win Billy's affection, but Billy has like severe arachnophobia and just fucking beats that thing's ass every time it comes around. I don't care who does it. If Leslie turned into a spider, fire. Believe it or not, jail.
Jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
You overcook fish, believe it or not, jail.
So here's
Builders, this is an interesting one.
well, yeah. Here's a cool thing. I don't actually know how much more we need to put on these for
I think
builders.
we
For builders,
described the-
Eriche and human, it's all location based.
Fill out the flavor of what that like. We need to provide ample flavor text with it, just so people are like, okay, I know what this looks like. I know what this feels like.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't have to do that right now. We can do that later because I'm honestly losing a little steam right now.
Okay. Yeah. Let's focus then. I just want to, if we don't do anything else, I would love to get the background questions taken care of. We really only need to repurpose one of them. Because the second question is just what is your item and how does it relate to your chosen background? Which is that we need to come up with some ideas on how to craft items.
Yeah.
But the item itself is pretty open-ended by definition. That's something that you work out with your GM.
I mean, here's something fun.
Okay.
For the sake, if we are losing time, for the sake of the playtest, you know what we could do is just take one of these feats below one of the
Oh.
and slap it on an item, right?
And then put an item on it.
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea.
At least for the time being. Like, because I agree with you, we need to come up with a system for crafting relics, and I think that is important moving forward.
Yeah.
But, like, I think right now we can see how the game plays with just that, and we don't have to have that system in place.
I honestly love that. Okay, 1 second here. Suggestions. Okay, so so each section comes with an attached item bearing special properties designed to help them in play. And then players are also asked to think about. Okay, sick. Cool. Well, honestly, man, if that's the case, let me see here. Background resulting in a. There it is. Okay, so resulting in a node bonus for either health, armor, or movement. Okay, tight. So let's talk about this thing. Now, this is going to be a general purpose question. By design, we're going to be making this kind of similar to every other, or we're going to make this the same for every background. So
we're gonna make the questions the same, and then the answers for each background would be different. Is that the idea?
We can, if you want to do it that way. My initial intent with this was because we have so many, that it might be a good idea to just make these uniform for each background. Because the question is, why did your character choose vault pedaling? Which is a pretty all-purpose question in general. If you want to personalize the answers, we can.
This is something we talked about before. I think that, like, right now, we can do these like this. And then should we decide? I mean, I think that we can invest more time into personalizing things for an actual publication.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, let's just get the working stuff down.
Cool. So then, why did your character choose vault pedaling? We need answers that would correlate to a bonus in health, armor, or movement.
See the world, to protect my loved ones or self, and to get more blood in my body. Because as we've talked about on TGS streams before, the more blood you have in your body, the healthier you are.
And with that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into tonight's stream.
Medical advice.
We really appreciate it. We blew through that last section a lot faster than I was expecting. But
we'll do it for real.
Well, honestly, 2 of those answers are great. Movement, like to see the world, armor to protect
more blood in your body.
To protect loved ones. To get more blood in my body is a great answer. I don't see what the issue is.
Listen, are you a doctor? Because I've seen TV before. Pretty sure I know how it works.
Just get some blood in my body and then give me an electrical shock and I'll be fine.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get brought back into this world the way George Washington went out, by releasing blood from his body. Actually, bloodletting. Which is how George Washington died.
Bloodletting?
Yeah. Kind of unceremonious, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, don't really care.
There's a big my brother me thing where they're talking about it because they talk about it on Sawbones, and he was like, yeah, that's pretty rough. I wonder if he was like, oh, and next week we're gonna get a new part of the government taken care of about solving slavery right now. We're gonna end it right now.
That bloodletting was no accident, if that's the case.
We're gonna go check out the new ham place.
So sad that you never got to check out that ham place.
I'm losing it. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This makes great entertainment. It's great entertainment value. We should talk more about blood in the body more often.
We've moved away from crabs.
Oh my god, we have.
Huh? Well, we could combine the two loves because they use horseshoe crab blood to make vaccines.
Yeah.
And all kinds of medicine.
Well, I mean, I don't want the crab to get harmed. I just want, like... I just want more crabs.
Listen, we need the horseshoe crab
Science
blood.
cannot progress without heaps of dead crabs.
Someday an alien civilization's gonna find us and be like, what the fuck is going on? What are you doing? We're
what the fuck, dog?
Why? It solves disease.
I guess.
That's the way.
Can y'all chill?
To be counting us for the first time.
Wait, what?
Do they have directions? No, we're not stopping here. We gotta go.
No. We need to leave.
Nobody was down there. Are you sure? I said nobody was down there.
I'm sure.
Sorry, I kind of fell apart there at the end. It's been a long week.
It really has. Yeah. You got Cyberpunk to run tomorrow, too.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fine. Just dropping bombshells. Okay, so... tell you what, I'll flesh the remaining stuff out. Oh, what do you got?
I'll help.
Okay. All right, so I legitimately do like movement and armor. Health would be what? I want to live out my days
comfortable. I want wealth and health, baby.
Okay, yeah.
Acquire.
Wait, what?
To acquire. Oh, we should go check out someone else's channel.
Oh yeah, we definitely should.
We have to raid.
Yeah, who's live right now? I can't even see on the OBS.
Nathan Halbernock. This is someone who does. There's Tony Plus One. He does tabletop RPGs. Looks like he's doing Lost and Found Monster Care Squad. I don't know what that is. Halbernock, they're like a VTuber kind of thing, but they do like tabletop RPGs.
Actually, they do this cool one every once in a while where they talk about tabletop RPGs, and they have a very knowledgeable base on systems, and I was having a blast talking about systems with them.
All right, tight.
Nathan's other show, which is one of the guys from Drawfee. That's a big one, though. I don't read that. Argos streaming his first.
I mean, I don't know if this is like a pride thing, but like I don't care about raiding with one person.
Yeah.
Like.
I don't know. Lord Gosumba. Raid that guy.
Lord Gosumba?
Yeah. Raid him.
Lord Gosumba. Do it.
You learn to do that.
So what?
Listen, how'd you learn to do that?
Because Elstragoon taught me.
Told us. My dad taught me.
All right, so we are about to send off. Elstragoon, you seem very adamant that we should not raid this dude. Why is it?
Well, because he wants us to raid people that we know so we can cross-pollinate.
I see.
Which is actually a good idea.
That
Tony
is-
plus one. He's only got 2 people in there right now. Let's do that.
Who?
Tony plus one.
Tony plus one. All right, give me a sec. Raid. Channel. Tony. And then PLUSONE. I can't see the channel. How's it spelled?
TonyPlusW, not W, ONE.
ONE. Okay, cool. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and send the stream over. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again, Elstragoon. All things going well. Hopefully we'll be doing the playtesting starting next week. So we'll see you then. We'll talk to you, I'm sure, at some point in between. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Oh, do I gotta hit it?
Nope, I got it.
Okay, cool.